There are passions of the flesh that wage war. That means there are passions that would seek to wage war and destroy your soul. I don't have any intention tonight to try to awe you with provocative language. But I want to tell you this, I want to be just dead honest with you. And it's not a subject that we want to stay quiet about. This one takes people down. And these passions wage war against your soul, and they mean to undo you. A passion, I realize these are passions that are within us, but they seek to destroy, they are against your soul. They do battle against your soul. Something that wars against your soul means to destroy your soul. These are soul-destroying passions.
Pornography has been something that's been on my heart a lot over the past many years as I've thought about my music and my writing in any ways I can influence. One, because I just know how much of an epidemic it really is among young men. It's come to the point where if I talk to a young man about his life, I'm not, whether it's somebody my age or a little bit younger or maybe a little bit older, I'm not at all surprised to hear that there's some kind of struggle with porn. And I would be shocked if I met a young man who hasn't had a struggle with it at some point, because it's just so easily accessible, and it's so damaging to our soul. So when I talk to young men who are struggling with it, often what you get is it's just very deep despair.
One of the ways you overcome this thinking is by asking yourself some very impacting questions. Not just questions, but questions that'll make a difference in your life. And I would just encourage you to write these down. You ask yourself these questions about whatever you're thinking, and the first question you ask is this: where will these thoughts lead me? Where will these thoughts lead me? If I keep thinking the same thing, well, it's going to lead you somewhere. Very important question. If I keep thinking this, where's it going to lead me? Another question is, will these thoughts get me where I want to go? Then you have to decide, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go in life? Will what I'm thinking get me where I want to go? And if you say, I'm just not important, I'm a nobody, I don't have any gifts and talents and skills in life, and give yourself a lot of excuses, you won't get anywhere. So you have to ask yourself the question, if I keep thinking this, where will this get me in? Where are you thinking? Right here. This is a battlefield. Your hands, your feet, nothing else a battlefield. The battlefield's right here. And so you decide your victory or defeat in your mind. And your feet and your hands travel where your mind has already gone. You set your mind on somebody or something or someplace. You set your mind on that, and you keep thinking about that, thinking about it, and thinking about it. Next thing you know, listen, your mind is not on there, but your feet, you're there. Your feet are going to travel where you set your mind. And so therefore, we have to guard what we think. Then he says,
looking at pornography wasn't enough for him. Having sex with his wife after looking at pornography, it wasn't enough for him. And then it led him to finally going out and kidnapping me. He just always wanted more. I can't say that he would not have gone out and kidnapped me had he not looked at pornography. All I know is that pornography made my living hell.
One thing you are sure to see: the flashing lights of adult entertainment establishments. There is no shortage of sexually explicit material available to the general public at any given time. And whether it is the neighborhood strip club, the pornography shop that sells hardcore movies and magazines, or XXX rated websites on the internet, pornography has become commonplace in society today. In fact, it is a multi-billion-dollar industry that continues to grow in response to the lustful demands of the public. Pornographers and many involved in the sex industry push the lie that says this type of entertainment is harmless fun, but in reality, it is far from harmless. Truthfully, pornography is merely an attempt to create the illusion of intimacy. While falling terribly short of that goal, It is actually born out of a fear of real intimacy with others. And ultimately, it leads to emotional isolation and despair.
They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again. The idea of the writer here is that it's kind of like you get in that drunken stupor. All this stuff goes on, and you don't even know it. Somebody could have hit you square in your face. You don't even remember who did it to you. Somebody could have been raped. You don't even know who did it to you. And then when I get up from this stupor, I want to do those things again. I want to go after them again. Pornography can cause it to be that way. Men and women can get caught up in this, so much so that they go through it and they can suffer the pain, and then the very next day desire to go after these things again.
And so instead of pursuing being sexy, which is just cheap beauty, it's a shortcut to beauty, pursue being beautiful and having character, because character doesn't fade. Character lasts long. And for gentlemen, character is an amazing investment, the scripture says. The book of wisdom says. So pursue character.
Relationships. I would say that pornography has actually ruined all of my dating relationships. With dating and relationships, pornography is a way of detaching and getting away from your problems. It's a quick fix. It's just like drugs in a way that many people use drugs to get away from their problems. They can't really cope.
It was definitely...
I was 24 years old when I entered porn. I was a burned out prostitute and stripper. I was a single mom, addicted to drugs and alcohol. I was the kind of person that the porn industry preys upon. The porn industry preys upon people who are already damaged, so they can damage them more. And I was that girl. They promised me fame, fortune, attention. They promised me I would be the next biggest, hottest porn star. And they promised me that I would be kept safe. That porn people are the cleanest people in the world. And that if we get our tests every 30 days for HIV, that I'll be kept safe. Are you sure? Of course, baby. Of course we're sure. You'll be safe. Well, after about 30 movies, I got burned. And it devastated me. And I tried to kill myself with prescription pills. I didn't care anymore. How far I had come. I joined the porn industry, and I was promised glamour and fame and fortune. And here I am standing in the worst human ugliness you could possibly see in the mirror. And I was devastated. And I thought my life was over. Like many of the porn stars who catch non-curable diseases. STDs are rampant in the porn industry. And what's horrible is these people don't understand that even repeat infections are breaking down their immune system. After they have so many STDs, sooner or later they're going to live with the long-term health effects. The porn industry does nothing more than damage lives. It damages the lives of the workers. It damages the lives of the general public. It damages the lives of the men who are viewing pornography, who are addicted to porn. And these girls are like, what other option do they have? Who cares about these women in porn? Nobody.
For years, my dirty little secret was that I was addicted to pornography. This thing has become a problem. I think it's a worldwide problem. But pornography, it really messed up my life in a lot of ways. It was my secret, nobody knew, and it got bad. And when I say bad, some people deny, they say, hey man, you can't really be addicted to pornography, there's no way. But I'm gonna tell you something, if day turns into night and you are still watching, you probably got a problem. And that was me. Being on the internet allows you to keep it a secret. And before you used to have to go search it out or go look for it or go to a strip club where somebody would see you. But this is a secret. They don't have to see you at all. You can be all alone and it will be just yours. But I'm trying to tell you that makes it all the more insidious. And all the more we have to root it out and call it what it is. My issue was, and is with pornography, is that it changes the way you think about people. People become objects. People become, body parts. They become things to be used rather than people to be loved. Pornography is an intimacy killer. It kills all intimacy. Every time I watched it, I was walled off. It's like another brick that came between me and my wife. I didn't want to be this way. I didn't want to continue to do the things that hurt my wife and hurt my family. I want to help people. That is what I'm about. Guys, it's my mission. It's my life. It's what I do. I love y'all.
I grew up in a wonderful home with two dedicated and loving parents, one of 5 brothers and sisters. A home where we as children were the focus of my parents' lives, where we regularly attended church with 2 Christian parents who did not drink, they did not smoke, there was no gambling, there was no physical abuse or fighting in the home. Basically, I was a normal person. I wasn't some guy hanging out at bars or a bum. I wasn't a pervert in the sense that, people look at somebody and say, I know there's something wrong with him, you just tell. I mean, I was essentially a normal person. I had good friends. I led a normal life, except for this one small but very potent, very destructive segment of it that I kept very secret, very close to myself, and didn't let anybody know about it. And part of the shock and horror for my dear friends and family years ago when I was first arrested was that there was no clue. They looked at me and they looked at the all-American boy. And it happened in stages, gradually. It doesn't necessarily, not to me at least, happen overnight. My experience with, I say pornography generally, but with pornography that deals on a violent level with the sexuality, is that once you become addicted to it, and I look at this as a kind of addiction, like an addiction, you keep craving something which is harder, something which gives you a greater sense of excitement, until you reach the point where the pornography only goes so far. You reach that jumping off point where you begin to wonder if maybe actually doing it will give you that which is beyond just reading about it or looking at it. Listen, I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography. Those of us who have been so much influenced by violence in the media, in particular pornographic violence, are not some kinds of inherent monsters. We are your sons and we are your husbands. And we grew up in regular families. And pornography can reach out and snatch a kid out of any house today. He snatched me out of my home. It snatched me out of my home 20, 30 years ago. And as diligent as my parents were, and they were diligent in protecting their children, and as good a Christian home as we had, and we had a wonderful Christian home, there is no protection against the kinds of influences that are loose in the society that tolerates